Sour, Kathy Joe, Fritz, Mega Politics. How's it going tonight, everyone? Rainbow77, Robert's on here. Hey, how is everyone doing tonight? Paul Gonzalez is on here from Facebook. Veronica is on. Rebecca Van Spabrook is on, one of my oldest friends on Facebook. How is everyone doing tonight? I am broadcasting both on Periscope and Facebook. So if you're having difficulty on one of them, hey, Mary Bratz, long time no see. Jasmine, Todd is on Facebook. How's it going, Todd? Oh my gosh, so much news today. So much news. Some of it is not very good news. Cheryl is on, Wilma Bob, Pamela, Amy, James, I'm sure will be on here. The usual suspects. And so let me share this out real quick on Twitter and turn off the sound so we don't get a whole bunch of reverb going on. I think I have some interesting news for you tonight. We'll see. Okay, shared out on Twitter. NSA, yep, there's a lot of news going on today. First and foremost, hey, Michelle from Oregon. I have some good news. I do have some good news. I always come ready with good news. Y'all know that. I will share the bad news, but I also try to bring some good news. So starting out tonight is the shooting in Parkland, Florida. I just checked in with the Broward County Sheriff's Department and their update, 17 dead so far from the shooting at the high school, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. So obviously those people, the friends and family need our prayers. If you are wondering if this was a false flag, this is not the Periscope you're looking for. Somebody else will Periscope about that. I don't think it's worth our time, my time, to go down that road right now. I will tell you this. This afternoon I took a nap, and I had a very vivid dream, and it had to do with putting events on a timeline. And it was strange because when I woke up from the nap, Tracy Beans was starting a live YouTube broadcast, and she was starting a timeline of events regarding, I think, some kind of collusion with FBI and DOJ. Timelines are incredibly important. And in the dream that I had this afternoon, someone was putting events on a timeline so that they could see the relationship of events that seem to be unrelated. All right. So what I will say about that is this. I think if people are willing to sit down and take events and put them on a timeline, they may see connections. You're not going to see the connections if you don't do it that way. So I'm not going to have a lot of commentary on the shooting at the high school this afternoon, other than to say, please pray for the friends and the family. Keep them in your prayers. On a related note this morning, there was some gunfire and an incident at the NSA's headquarters in Fort Meade, Maryland this morning. Car tried to crash through a gate. It's not clear if it was trying to get in or get out of the NSA. There was some gunfire exchange. There are 3 people arrested. No one was killed. Highly suspicious. We don't know what's going on there. Hey, from New Jersey, what's going on? I don't know if that is related to the shooting in Florida. I don't necessarily see a connection, but like I said, sometimes things are connected and you don't always see it. And so that is some more news. I thought that would be the big news of the day, and then the shooting in Florida happened. There is some good news. President Trump's tax plan has already created some good news. The Treasury Department put out a report today, and this is about tax revenue and spending for the month of January of this year. The Treasury brought in $361 billion in total tax revenue for January, and they only spent $311 billion, which means the Treasury had a $49 billion surplus for the month of January after lowering the federal tax rate. They're taking in more taxes and spending less money. All right. Trump, his tax plan is working. The plan was lower tax rates, generate more business, more revenue comes in, more taxes, even with a lower tax rate. They're bringing, in fact, the $361 billion that was brought in taxes for January is the record. The Treasury has never brought in that much money in history in January. That is the record-setting month. So it looks like Trump's tax plan, which some of the Democrats said was going to be Armageddon, is turning out to be a pretty good deal. I wanted to comment real quickly on the Susan Rice email that she sent to herself, which has been out there floating around. They found out that Susan Rice sent an email to herself her last day in the White House on January 20th, before they turned over the keys to the Trump administration. Susan Rice emailed herself this little email. And a lot of people have been wondering what that was all about. Some people have suspected she's trying to cover for some transgressions by the Obama administration. Nick Short actually wrote a very good article on it, and he believes Susan Rice is trying to cover herself. There was a very awkward exchange when Susan Rice and had to hand over information to her counterpart in the Trump administration, which was General Flynn. And one paragraph from that letter from Susan Rice is very telling. It says, from a national security perspective, however, President Obama said he wants to be sure that as we engage with the incoming transition team, we're mindful to ascertain if there's any reason that we cannot share information fully as it relates to Russia. So there's this question in this paragraph. President Obama said he wanted to be sure that if we share information with the Trump administration, if we're not fully transparent about Russia, that there's a legitimate reason for it. So what that is basically saying is, if there's anything that Susan Rice hid from General Flynn concerning Russia, it was at the direction of President Obama. It wasn't Susan Rice's decision. So this letter may be throwing Obama under the bus and saving Susan Rice. That's why she wrote that letter, in the event that she needed it. That's what Nick Short says, and Nick is a good commentator. So on a related note, General Flynn. General Flynn's legal counsel today filed a motion for discovery, and it's fairly involved, but I'll just break it down for you real simple. This motion requests all documents, all evidence, all testimony that Robert Mueller's investigative team has found in his case, where they're charging him with lying with the FBI. When you file for discovery, you're asking for all the documents to be made, for prosecution to be made available, so that opposing counsel can look at those documents and see what's being used as evidence. Now, Flynn has already pled guilty to lying to the FBI. Now his legal team is filing for discovery. What that means to me is they're going to challenge this, and they're going to look at the evidence and the testimony, because I think they suspect that the agents who interviewed him may have lied. And here's something that's really interesting about this whole thing. A couple of months after General Flynn was interviewed by the FBI, Comey told Congress he did not believe that Flynn lied or said anything that was untrue to his agents. And then months later, he's charged with lying to the FBI, when Comey had already said he didn't think that Flynn lied. So there's some question about, why did Comey tell Congress he didn't think Flynn lied, and then his agents, Mueller, ends up charging Flynn with lying? My suspicion is that Peter Strzok, who interviewed Flynn, may have fudged his 302, may have lied on his report. which allowed Mueller to charge Flynn with lying. I suspect Flynn is going to walk on all this stuff, probably. But it's interesting to note that Flynn's attorneys are now filing for a motion for discovery. So that is really interesting to me anyway. I'm going to scroll my Twitter timeline here real quick and see if there's any other news before I jump into the main event. Oh, you know what? I had a dream I should tell you about. Some of you saw this on my Twitter timeline. I woke up this morning about 5 o'clock from a dream about Q. In the dream, Q was posting information, and I was watching all the things that Q was posting. And it all had to do with Supreme Court justices and specific cases that they were involved in. And the information Q posted was not good for the judges. It looked like the judges were being kind of outed for some, at minimum, conflict of interest, at possibly worst, corruption and blackmail and whatever. So that's what I saw in the dream. Q was posting information about Supreme Court justices and cases they were involved with. At the end of the dream, the text turned, all I can say is it was highlighted in yellow, like a yellow bright highlighter. Some of the text that I was watching Q post just was highlighted in yellow. And I didn't understand this until I was talking to Todd this afternoon. I didn't understand the yellow. I saw yellow and white on this page. And I was like, I don't understand what that means. Todd goes, you mean like a highlighter? And I was like, oh, yeah. It's being highlighted. This information is being highlighted. God does that sometimes. He gives you these little word, play on words sort of things. So unless I miss my guess, Q will probably get around to telling us about the Supreme Court justices and some cases they should be careful or mindful of. I think we're going to see that in the future. I think that's what that dream is about. All right. Let me move on to the main event. So just before I jumped on here, I read this article that Sundance posted on Conservative Treehouse. And lo and behold, oh my gosh, Sundance is such a brilliant investigator. Really pays to follow Sundance. So I'm just gonna walk you through this article that Sundance wrote. And the title of it is Someone's Doing the Department of Justice and FBI Interrogations, and It's Not Congress. That's the title of the article. And let me start out with this. On Monday night, February 18th, so this was, February 12th, 2 nights ago, an episode of Tucker Carlson, the House Intelligence Committee, one of the Democrat members of the House Intelligence Committee, appeared on Tucker Carlson, and when they were getting in this back and forth, and Tucker just likes to argue with people. You've probably seen that before. So this particular one, I'm actually going to play this for you. And this is Eric Swalwell. He's a Democrat member of the House Intelligence Committee, the same committee that Devin Nunes is on, the same committee that created the memo, the FISA memo, all right? So Swalwell is on Tucker, and they're going back and forth. And Swalwell makes this interesting comment. Let me turn up the volume. Created the memo. And this is all a distraction. It's a charade. Actually. Hang on. So Swalwell, let me mute some things here. That's muted. Okay, I muted my. I had to mute my Periscope because I want you to hear the audio on the on the YouTube video, but not. Anyway, hang on a second. Here we go. Get the volume turned up a bit. All right. So listen.
He can apply pressure without them being pressured. We should work with them. But again, Tucker, this is all a distraction. It's a charade, actually. We really should be hearing from witnesses, because it may surprise you. We haven't heard from a witness in our investigation in over a month now.
Well, I agree.
All right. So Swalwell says, we haven't heard from a witness in our investigation in over a month now. All right. You would, if you were listening to Tucker Carlson and Swalwell, yeah, it would go right over your head. You wouldn't know what that means. All right. So let me tell you what that means. So Swalwell is part of the House Intelligence Committee. They're conducting an investigation. All right. Now, you probably remember over the last month, Rod Rosenstein and Devin Nunes were going back and forth because Nunes wanted all the information, the FISA application, all the information they presented to get the warrant against the Trump team. And Nunes wanted to interview employees in the FBI and the Department of Justice. Okay? He wanted interviews and he wanted the documents, unredacted and declassified, all of it. All right. And this is going back and forth, and Nunes threatened to subpoena and he threatened to hold them in contempt of Congress, and the DOJ wouldn't give up the information. Finally, at the last minute, Rod Rosenstein agrees with Nunes to give them all the information they were looking for and to let the witnesses testify. Now, Swalwell said they haven't had a witness testify in over a month. Why not? If they got all the information, the memo that was written by Trey Gowdy and sent to the president and declassified became the Nunes memo. It's actually the Nunes-Gowdy memo. They wrote it together. They had all the information, but this guy says no one's been interviewed. Why has no one been interviewed? But let me take you down this trail and you'll see what's going on. All right. So I'm going to give you a timeline here. And I'm just going to walk through this timeline, and you'll figure out where this is going because you're smart. On January 4th, Nunes and Rosenstein finally agreed. And Rosenstein said, we'll give you complete disclosure, all the unredacted documents, and the witnesses he'd been asking to interview. Included in that list of witnesses was Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, James Baker, who was chief counsel for the FBI, who had been reassigned, Bill Priestap, Bruce Orr. Okay, so these are the five people that we're concerned about: Strzok, Page, Priestap, Bruce Orr, and James Baker, all of whom are still working for the FBI and the Department of Justice. They're all still working there. All right. So Rosenstein gives Nunes permission to interview all those people. On January 8th, Bruce Orr, who is a deputy assistant attorney general, was demoted for a second time. And he was scheduled to have an interview with the House Intelligence Committee on January 17th. One day later, on January 9th, the Department of Justice provides the unredacted and the documents that Nunes had requested. So January 9th, Nunes and the House Intelligence Committee get all the documents they've been asking for. All right. And those documents become the basis for the memo that the House Intelligence Committee sent to Trump to have declassified, which was made public. That's the underlying documents that they based that memo off of. Okay? Which was written by Trey Gowdy, actually. All right. As a result of the agreement between Rosenstein and Nunes, one member from each party, one Democrat and one Republican, were allowed to go and view the original FISA application documents, which included the Steele dossier. All right. Trey Gowdy and Adam Schiff were selected as the 2 Intel committee members to go and review the memos, the information. A week later, on January 16th, Nunes postpones the interview with Bruce Orr, which was scheduled for the 17th. So that interview was postponed or canceled. It never happened. According to the testimony of this guy who's Swalwell, who's on the House Intelligence Committee, Bruce Orr has not yet been interviewed, nor has Priestap, or Page, or Strzok, or any of them. All right. So, continuing. Instead of interviewing Bruce Orr on the 18th, the House Intelligence Committee voted that day to declassify and allow all the members of Congress to view the memo that they wrote. Okay. And through all this time period, none of the 5 witnesses, Strzok, Page, Baker, Priestap, or Orr, have been interviewed yet. And the House Intelligence Committee is ready to release the memo to Congress and let members of Congress read it. All right. Everyone's attention is now focused on the memo, and we're all hashtagging release the memo like crazy on Twitter. But no one's thinking about the interviews. There's 2 parts to this investigation. There's the information in the documents, in the memo, and then there's the interviews. And no one's thinking about the interviews. Okay, so the memo comes out, and there are some very interesting statements in the memo. All right, one of which, and there's a question, how does the testimony of Bruce Orr and Bill Priestap become part of the memo if they haven't been interviewed by the House Intelligence Committee? Because in the memo, their statements are cited, and I'm just going to read a couple of them to you. During the same time period, Bruce Orr, his wife was employed by Fusion GPS to assist in the cultivation of opposition research on Trump. Orr later provided the FBI with all of his wife's opposition research, paid for by the DNC and the Clinton campaign via Fusion GPS. The Orr's relationship with Steele and Fusion GPS was inexplicably concealed from the FISA court. All right, so that's one statement. Bruce Orr gave the FBI all of his wife's information. Here's the second one. According to the head of the FBI's counterintelligence division, Bill Priestap, corroboration of the Steele dossier was in its infancy at the time of the initial Carter Page FISA application. Okay, this is information Bill Priestap gave, and he gave that information, but he didn't. This is in the Nunes memo. Okay, who did he give the information to? He didn't give it to the House Intelligence Committee because they have said they didn't interview him. The Democrat Swalwell said we didn't interview any of these people. But where is the testimony? These guys are testifying. They're telling their information. Their testimony is in the memo, but it's not being given to the House Intelligence Committee. Where is the testimony coming from? You're about to find out. All right. So who is doing the interrogations? It's not the House Intelligence Committee. It's not House Judiciary. And it's not the Senate Judiciary. So who is investigating these people? Who is taking the interviews? Well, you have to remember, Mike Horowitz of the Department of Justice Inspector General is running a parallel investigation. What are they investigating? They're investigating politicization of the FBI and the DOJ. Okay? The interviews are being done by Horowitz. And this is Sundance's theory. Sundance's theory is that it's actually the Inspector General and his team that are doing these interviews of Page, Strzok, or Priestap and Baker. And there's more, so just sit tight. Priestap is talking. He's definitely talking. They're all talking because they're all still working for the FBI and the Department of Justice. None of them have been fired. And, well, let me just continue real quick, and then we'll have some discussion about it. Remember, all of now. Here's what you have to think about. Strzok and Page have been demoted and given desk jobs in the Human Resources Department. Baker was demoted, Orr was demoted, and Priestap is still operating as Deputy Director of the FBI for Counterintelligence. Priestap has not been demoted. He is still head of counterintelligence right now. All right, and he was involved in all this stuff. He is Strzok's boss, and he was one of the key guys in this inner circle. He's still working as Director of Counterintelligence at FBI. All right. So
let me ask you, they aren't fired because
they're not fired. They're not fired.
Because they have to testify?
Because they are cooperating with Horowitz's Inspector General investigation. And I'll continue. I'll explain this. Just sit tight with me. Okay. So you'll notice that the media is not following any of this. Have you seen any reports from any Fox, ABC, CNN, anybody, Washington Post, about what is happening with Baker and Priestap and Orr and Strzok and this investigation with the House Intelligence Committee? There's nothing. There's no news on it at all. They're not covering it. All right? There's a reason why they're not covering it. Here's something to think about. Ask yourself, and this is what I've been asking myself for a long time. Of all of the FBI and Department of Justice employees, there's 120,000 of them. Why did we only publicly hear about Lisa Page and Peter Strzok's text messages? They have text messages going on between all kinds of people in the FBI and DOJ, but none of those have been made public. Why did we hear about their text messages and nobody else's? Why? And where did they come from? They came from the Inspector General's office, because the Inspector General is running the investigation. They have all the information. They have been leaking that information out to Congress and into the hearings. They make these hearings public. They release the information on the text messages, and then it goes out to the public, and we find out about it. That is planned. There's a reason why they're doing that. They want us to know about that information. All right. So here's another thing to consider. Put this in your little question. There are a bunch of other people that are wrapped up in this investigation, and none of them currently have their jobs anymore. Sally Yates, Dave Loffman, who was Assistant Deputy Director of DOJ under National Security, he stepped down last week. Mike Cortan stepped down. Sally Yates is gone. James Rubicki stepped down. And Andrew McCabe has either resigned or been fired. All right. They have all left the system. Strzok, Page, Baker, Priestap, they're all still in the system working. All right. Why? Why were some let go or allowed to resign, and why did some stay in the system? Because they are cooperating. And basically, this is what happens when you cooperate with a federal investigation, a criminal investigation, and you're an employee of the department and that is investigating you. What they do now, this will answer you. A lot of people are like, why are these people still drawing a paycheck? Why aren't they fired? Why don't they get rid of these people? All right. I have been saying for a long time, look, you have to trust these people in the heads of these departments to know what they're doing. They're smarter than we are. They know a lot more about this stuff. So if you fire these people, you're not talking about Walmart or McDonald's, where you just fire somebody if they're found to be stealing food. This is what Sundance wrote. A person familiar with such investigative measures said this: they are sat down, they're told, do not do anything, don't say anything, and don't discuss anything until you see your attorney. At that time, the attorney is handed a letter from the investigative unit. That letter says, in essence, This is how screwed you are. If you want to be less screwed, you'll sign this letter of cooperation and you'll help us. When we don't need you, you're going to sit there. When we do need you, we're going to call you in our office. We're going to ask you questions and you're going to give us the information we need. Any deviation from this agreement lands you in jail for the full term of your sentence. That is what has happened to all of these people. Priestap, Baker, Orr, Strzok, Page. They're inside their system because they're cooperating. And they are given some stupid menial job holding down a chair in a corner somewhere until Horowitz or one of his investigators needs some information. They go pull them out of the chair. They have them sit down. They ask them questions. They have them write a deposition, tell what they know. And when they're done, they go back and sit on their chair. That is why they keep these people inside the system and they keep them in their job because they have access to them. They're not going anywhere. All right. All of them, Sundance thinks, all of them have flipped. They're all cooperating with the investigation. They're all being interviewed by the Inspector General. And that's where their testimony is coming from that ended up in the memo. And that's why McCabe, Rybicki, Sally Yates, and all the others, they've been cut loose because they're not going to get a deal. There's no deals for them. The ones who are cooperating, they get a deal, leniency in the system. Everyone else, they'll face the full sentence of their crimes. So if you're wondering why these people are still working for the FBI and the DOJ, that's probably why. And Sundance has a pretty good track record for ferreting out all these details, and I would say there's a good chance that Sundance's theory is right. So,
he's former FBI, right?
I don't know what. No, that's True Pundit. Thomas Paine.
Okay.
Thomas Paine is former FBI. I don't know what Sundance's legal background is. I know Sundance has some legal background. I look at the way Sundance goes through these legal documents and all these machinations and just straightens it all out. And I'm like, that's a person who's been in the system for a while before. So that is Sundance's latest article on Conservative Treehouse. It's worth reading. I tweeted it out. It's on my Twitter timeline, or you can just go to Conservative Treehouse. It'll be the most recent article. That's all I have for you tonight as far as the news goes.
Some people asked if we
Do you have questions?
Q's news post on Great Awakening. He didn't post it on any other place.
So it's not on.
It's a lot of
code fag.
It's a lot of sounds like perhaps military instructions.
Okay.
A lot of it we're not going to be able to really decipher.
So well, I've been watching Q. Q hasn't posted a whole lot in the last couple of days. There was a Ruth Bader Ginsburg post a couple of days ago. I'm waiting for Q to drop some more information so I can take all that and make it into a larger broadcast. Denise says Q did drop something on Great Awakening that is a stringer with a lot of symbols and codes that we're probably not going to understand. So that is what is going on with Q. Hey, is Lila on here? Oh, Lila's on. Karen Robbins Arias is on Facebook. I'm just checking out my friends over there. All right. Sally Yates was fired by President Trump. She was fired because she refused to uphold the federal law. So she got fired. Yes, that is true. Q just posted. Don't tell me Q just posted. Don't be lying to me now.
I can tell you.
Was that somebody who... Q is not... I'm looking on Q, CodeFag, GitHub. It's not there. Great Awakening, that could be.
There was a whole lot of stuff. But at the end... No,
Q did not mention what happened at the NSA today.
The last posts are more understandable. Warning.
Let's see. NH Mommy One. Hello. Said hey to me. Angela, thank you. I appreciate that. Next 2 weeks are going to be busy. Yeah. I'm going to try, just to let you know, I'm going to try to get a little bit more scheduling into my broadcasts. I'm going to try to do 1 or 2 like regular news updates a week and 1 or 2 Q updates a week, and continue doing just like the regular news and political commentary, and also do the Q updates. I don't want to do just Q. I don't want to do just news. I want to do a little bit of both. So I'm going to try to do, 3 or 4 news updates a week and alternate Q drops and news and political commentary. That's what Denise and I kind of came up with for a plan. We'll see how that works. You have a question?
The last thing Q posted was the date of the world's first submarine attack, September 7th, 1776.
The world's first submarine attack?
He didn't say that, but he said the date of it.
And the date of it?
Look it up, that's what comes up.
Okay.
September 7th, 1776. That was his last post on Great Awakening today. We'll have to look into all this stuff.
Okay. Yeah. On the Q CodeFag GitHub site, I see Q's latest post is 751. There's one more post that's on Great Awakening, but that uses different numbers. So that's what I can do with that.
More than one post on Great Awakening.
More than one new one?
Oh, yeah. There's a ton of, looks like code and instructions and military.
Well, it sounds like there's a lot more on Great Awakening that we're not aware of, and I have to go check out.
It just happened in the last few hours, I think.
Okay. Well, I guess I know what I'll be doing. Hey, good news. I worked on the novel. I got my first half of the section of the book edited, sent it back to my editor. So I did make some progress on that yesterday, I think. And thank you for your prayers, everyone. Hey, Lila. Oh, Amy is on here. You love that shirt? Are you talking to me, Amy? You love my shirt? Hey, I'm in Phoenix. I get to wear palm tree shirts. I try to have a palm tree shirt for all of my broadcasts. If you look at my broadcasts and look at my shirts, you'll notice I think every one of them, almost, if they have a pattern, it's a palm tree. And it is raining in Phoenix. We've had a dry, warm winter, hardly any rain. It's been very warm, and it's been raining all day here today. So let's see. Paul Gonzalez has a question, if I can find it. Maybe I can't find it. Questions are going by so fast.
See if we'll ask it again.
My back is, as long as I'm sitting here, it's okay. It's still pretty stiff and sore. And I may be doing a scope with Daniel Barron, a sunset scope next week, Friday?
Yeah,
maybe?
Maybe if we can make it up to the lookout.
If I can make it up to that top of that hill with Daniel, we'll go hang out with the coyotes and do a sunset scope next week. So that'll be fun.
The novel's name, somebody wants to know.
The name of the novel is going to be The Gates of Shiloh. That is the name of the novel. It started out Bogren, A Demon's Tale, and then I switched the name because it's going to be a trilogy, and I need 3 good names. So The Gates of Shiloh will be volume 1. The Gardens of Charity will be volume 2. I'm not going to tell you about volume 3. I have a name for it, but it has to be a secret. I did post my interview with Blake Healy. People loved it. It's on, if you go to prayingmedic.com and then click the podcast tab, or on iTunes, you can go to my follow my podcast on iTunes. Blake Healy is the most recent podcast on there. I think it's 105. People love that interview. I loved it. It was great. It's very inspiring. Shiloh is your dog's name? That's awesome. Yeah. It is a modern day setting, the novel. It's set here in Arizona. I don't want to tell you too much about it. It's going to be a good novel.
Somebody asking what happened at NSA today, but you don't really have.
I don't know what happened at NSA other than there was a car smashed into a Jersey barrier. There was some gunshots exchanged, gunfire. It's reported that nobody was hit by gunfire, but there are 3 people have been arrested. One was treated for injuries not related to the gunfire. And we don't know a whole lot more than that. Brendan Dilley's source had some information on that this morning. If you want to go listen to Brendan's scope about that, you might do that. I am not going to share that because I can't confirm that. And, you know, if you like Brendan's source, you like Brendan's source. Lisa says the novel should be made into a movie. Yes, that would be okay with that. I'll write a screenplay. I can write a screenplay. Maybe. I'll just have to learn how to do it. You can learn how to do anything.
Fritz is planning to share emotional healing with a client day after tomorrow.
Fritz, you'll have to let me know how that goes when you do the emotional healing with your client. That would be cool. I'd love to hear a testimony from that.
There might be a dream book.
There is going to be a dream book. Yes. I have a fair amount of information compiled as a rough draft for the dream interpretation book. I have a unique perspective on dreams. I've read quite a few books on dream interpretation. I have a different take on dreams than a lot of people do. My dream book in particular is probably going to cover the subject of traveling in the spirit, which most people do not cover when they write a book on dream interpretation. And healing and some other things too. I'll tie in emotional healing, some traveling in the spirit, and some of the things, a lot of the experiences that I've had through dreams that I haven't seen written yet in a dream book. So. There is a software for screenplays that makes it easier. Kathy Joe, that is interesting. I'll have to look that up because I'm all about making the process easier. Martin Best, looking over one of your old dreams, anything in your stuff referencing the numbers 6 and 19? Not that I can think of off the top of my head, Martin. Those numbers don't ring a bell with me recently. Kazuko, I didn't see you on here. Kazuko's on here, our friend from Japan. Yes, Todd, the travel and the spirit dreams are legit. They're the most fun. Do I use an app to write books? No, I write my books in Microsoft Word. I sometimes use a headset that's a Dragon Dictation because I'm a very slow typist. So I'll sometimes just put on Dragon Dictation and I'll dictate. If I'm doing a long passage where I'm just writing a couple chapters, brainstorming, I'll sometimes do that. Okay, thanks, Kathy Joe. That'd be cool. Cheese Block says your books that God writes through you are awesome. Thank you. Since you've been following me, you've had a lot more dreams. You have no idea what they mean. Well, Victoria, get a book on dream interpretation. James Gall has a good book for beginning dream interpretation. It's called Dream Language. That's the first book that I read on dream interpretation. Really good, has a nice little dream dictionary at the back. James takes the perspective, and I agree with him, that everyone has a different dream language. God speaks to each of us uniquely through different types of symbols, and you have to learn how to understand your dream language. And once you get an understanding of what the symbols mean that recur in your dreams, it makes interpreting them a lot easier. So I would recommend picking up that book. It's really good. Please write a book about everyone's Trump dreams. I might do that. Man, on Facebook, holy moly, I did a Trump dream Facebook thread about a week ago. The dreams that people have had about the president, out of this world. I could do that. I definitely need to write a book about Q. Whatever happened to 0 Hour? He's around. He's scoping. He's doing 2 or 3 scopes a day.
He had to change his name a few times.
His account gets messed with, so he continually changes Twitter accounts and he changes names and stuff. But he's still around. Any advice on remembering dreams? Yes. Okay. It is remembering your dreams has to become a habit. It took me a while when I started having dreams about 8 or 9 years ago. It took me a while to get in the habit of remembering the dreams. And sometimes still I don't remember them because instead of writing them down right away, I will go back to sleep. And if you go back to sleep, you're going to forget the dream. So you have to develop some discipline. As soon as you have a dream and you wake up, the minute you wake up, grab your little flashlight, turn it on, grab your little pen, and write down the dream. As soon as you wake up, don't sit there and think about it, don't process it, and don't go back to sleep. As soon as you wake up, write it down. Because for most people, as soon as you have a dream, as you are awake for a while, that dream it'll just dissipate and you won't remember it. So the key thing is write it down as soon as you have the dream, as soon as you wake up, and get in a habit of doing that. I don't want to say religiously, but habitually. I try not to be a religious person. You had a dream about Mike Cernovich? Really, that is interesting. You dreamed that Trump and you got married.
That was kind of like my dream. I dreamt I was engaged to Trump.
A lot of people have dreams. Women have dreams where they're either dating or they're romantically involved with President Trump. Denise had one. A couple of gals on Facebook, and you didn't like him at the time. A couple of people on Facebook posted dreams where they got either married to or romantically involved with the president. Symbolic dreams that just simply telling you that the president has much more affection for us than we realize. And it's not romantic. He just loves us in a way that we don't understand, in a way that it's not apparent.
Giving me all sorts of fine clothing and jewelry and makeup and
yeah, she was going to the nicest restaurants, staying at the nicest hotels, fancy dresses, makeup, clothing. He was giving. It was a lavish lifestyle, which I've written about in one of my blog posts where I had a dream about the president, and we all were living a lavish lifestyle under his presidency. So you dreamed Trump and you got married, no more content. You just became Mrs. Trump and then the dream was over. That's cool. Yes, if you have a voice recorder, that also works. Some people will use like a little computer beside their nightstand. Some use a digital voice recorder. That doesn't work for some people. Just find a way to record your dreams and get them recorded, whether you write them down or record them, either way. You will be surprised if you start journaling your dreams and pay attention to them. God will show you some really interesting things. You write your dreams in the dark so you can still go back to sleep and dream more. Well, if you can write in the dark, good for you. I can't. I have a little flashlight. I turn it on, write the dream down, then I turn the light off and go back to sleep. My hairline is lavish. Thank you for noticing. Melody Pash also has an online dream school if you're interested. Melody actually has been teaching dream interpretation for a long time. Melody taught a dream workshop that Denise went to, and Denise came home from the workshop and prayed over me, and that's the night that I had my first dream. She has an online school. If you're interested in dream interpretation, you can look for Melody Pash. She's pretty cool, people. What do I know about CNN false flag Syria? Nothing. Don't know anything about that. P-A-S-C-H. Melody Pash. P-A-A-S-C-H. Sorry about that.
I put it in there, but I can
You put it in there? Okay. Doug Addison is also good. Has some good information on dreams. There are a lot of people who have written about and teach about dream interpretation from a biblical perspective. I would just recommend make sure that the person has a biblical perspective on dream interpretation and not a New Age interpretation. Just be a little careful, but there are a lot of good resources out there on dreams. John Paul Jackson, when he was alive, has some really good resources on dream interpretation. The people that I know who are really serious about dreams, most of them have studied under John Paul Jackson. Hey, Hannah Simpson is on here. Hannah is my newest friend on Facebook. She shared a dream she had about President Trump, and I liked it so much I sent her a Facebook friend request, and she accepted it. Yeah. Are all dreams from God? No, they're not. That's part of the lesson of learning to interpret your dreams, is discerning the dreams that are from God, the dreams that are from your soul, and the dreams that are from the enemy. I used to have a lot of dreams from the enemy. I have done some prayer strategies against that, and it's been years since I've had a dream that was from the enemy. The ones that I had from the enemy at first, I didn't understand. The enemy was giving me dreams. And then as I got more practiced and read more and understood more, I realized, oh, these are dreams from the enemy. And then I did some kind of warfare against that stuff, and I haven't had dreams from the enemy in a long time. Thompson and Beale. Oh my gosh. It's not in here.
Oh, I probably have it over here.
Denise has it in the other room. Thompson and Beale have a very, very good dream book. By the way, those of you I was talking about John G. Lake, someone mentioned on my last Periscope. John G. Lake. If you want to learn about miracles and healing, just reading the testimonies of John G. Lake, some of my favorite books, The Quotable C.S. Lewis. Lake's stuff is amazing, but for dreams, yes, Beale and Thompson, a couple of Australians, The Divinity Code for Dreams, thick book, huge encyclopedia or dictionary of dream symbols. It is very good. There's, like I said, there's a lot of good resources on dreams. I just start looking, start reading, ask God to show you who he is, his kingdom, reveal his love to you, reveal his plans for you. Ask God to show you your destiny. He'll do it in dreams.
I think my chat is ahead of you.
That's all right. I'm trying to get caught up on Facebook. Hey, it's Al Mack. How you doing, buddy? I'm glad you caught one of my live broadcasts. Al Mack Al Mack on Facebook was my first kingdom mentor. When I came out of the spiritually dead end of the church and started getting interested in prophecy and healing, and like when I started to develop a kingdom mindset versus a church mindset, Al Mack was kind enough to take me under his wing. He was blogging at the time, and I ran into his website, and he answered some of my questions, but mostly gave me a lot of resources where I had to go learn my own way through the woods. But he has been a great companion of mine over the years. So thanks for joining the broadcast, man. Let's see. Oh, Steve, you heard I'm the best for QAnon? Well, God has taught me a lot about what Q is putting out there for information. And if I have good information on Q, it's because God has given it to me. It's not because I'm exceptionally smart or gifted. It's because God has given me insights into Q that other people probably don't have. So I'm going to give the credit to God. And look, if I had not met Q in that dream a couple of months ago, I probably wouldn't be doing Q updates. But I met Q and we talked and he explained to me what this is all about. So it's been going on ever since then. Al Mack, ALMACK, Al Mack on Facebook. You may not be able to send him a friend request because he's probably got 5,000 friends, but you can follow him. You're in between church and kingdom. That's okay. I'm part of the church. I'm also heavily involved in teaching people about the kingdom. My perspective on church and kingdom is that God's plan was not to have us gather on Sundays in a little building and sing songs and pay taxes. I think God had a bigger plan than that. I don't go to church. I am the church. The church, the Greek word church, ekklesia, means the people, the gathering, the family of God. It's not a place you go to. You are the church. You are the ekklesia. We are to bring, establish, spread, teach about, and manifest God's kingdom in the earth. So that's my little elevator pitch on church versus kingdom. Is Q a believer? Well, Q is always telling people to pray. So I'm guessing probably.
He talks about God and country.
God and country, pray a lot. Yeah, I think Q is probably a believer. I think that's a safe bet. Todd says I have good barbecue. You should come down here to Arizona, buddy, so I can do another barbecue with you. It's been a long time. Thanks, Amy. Karen Robbins says, God uses your dreams a lot for intercession. That's true. I have a lot of friends, mostly on Facebook, they're intercessors. And I know Lila and Amy Martin and all you gals, intercessors on Facebook, God gives you dreams and he shows you the enemy's plans so you could do intercession against it. And, you know, the reason why darkness is being exposed in these days that we live in is because you all have been doing intercession and warfare effectively. And that is why we're seeing the takedown of corruption. We're going to see human trafficking end. We're going to see child sex slavery end. Maybe not globally, maybe not all of it, but a lot of it is going to be exposed and a lot of people are going to be set free. And I think the major reason why that's happening is because of you ladies and men. Most of the intercessors I know are women, but If it wasn't for your prayers and your intercession, none of this would be happening.
Yeah, you might tell them that GitHub is not a new site for Q. It's
Al Mack does like puns, Hannah. He's got a very dry sense of humor. I'm just getting caught up on questions on Facebook. I'd like Wayne Jacobson's book, Beyond Sundays. I might have to check that out. QCodefag.github.io is not a new Q site. It is a site where, I think it's called the discussion, it's a discussion board. Yeah, where Q's posts are put there without anyone else's posts. There's none of the anons are responding on that particular site. It's just Q's posts and nothing else. It's been there for a long time. I use it when I want to see Q's posts, but I don't want to see all what the anons are responding and stuff. And I don't want to run into the pornography and the other junk that goes on 8chan. I just go to the discussion, Q discussion thing. All right. There has been a lot of debate about whether Q is the real Q or the old Q or the new Q, and switching from all these different boards, and do we even actually have the right Q? I believe we do. I'm still having dreams about Q as recently as last night, and God has not shown me that Q has changed, has been taken over, his account's been taken over by some phonies. I haven't seen any red flags that make me believe that the Q I'm following is not the legitimate Q. So I know other people have ideas and suggestions and suspicions that something has been compromised. I don't have any reason to believe that. Is there a new term for those who no longer attend a brick and mortar church post-denominational? Yeah, I don't know.
She said that is a new term, post-denominational.
Oh, post-denominational?
I said we call ourselves church dropouts.
Church dropouts is what I call myself. And, most of my friends on Facebook are church dropouts. Probably 70 to 75% of the people that I'm friends with or who are following me on Facebook have left the institutional church. They don't go to church services regularly on Sunday. Still love God. They're still believers. They still read the Bible. They just have either been kicked out of church, they have been marginalized, they've been stabbed in the back, they've been controlled or manipulated by leadership, they have been deceived and ripped off in the church, and they have left the church building. They don't go to regular meetings. Some of them do home church, some of them do online church, but most of the people that I'm associated with on Facebook, they're church dropouts. And God let me know years ago, part of my calling was to minister to and to teach and encourage and train people who got kicked out of or left the church. That's what I do. I got kicked out of a church, and God told me years ago, don't go back in that building. And I didn't listen. I went back to numerous churches.
Almost everybody on here is saying they're church dropouts.
I went back and I tried to get back into a church and didn't work. And I went to another one and it didn't work. And God kept telling me, listen to me. I have a calling for you outside of that building. So yeah, I have been encouraging, training, and equipping and praying for church dropouts for years. And once I finally got on board with God's plan, it's been pretty darn cool. And look, I don't have anything against people who go to church on Sunday. I have a lot of friends who go to church every Sunday. I have a lot of friends who are pastors. I have friends who are prophets. I have friends who are apostles, and they go to church every Sunday and they lead worship. And I don't have any problem with people doing that. I think that's fine. That's cool. my particular calling is to minister to people who have been who can't make it in the church building on Sunday. They just can't do it. So I am going to post a link in the chat to the Q discussion board. This is where I go to get Q posts. I go there just to see what Q is posting, and then when I want to get information on what the Anons are talking about, I'll go to the 8chan, the Great Awakening, or whatever board Q is posting on. Brendan Dilley is live. Is that fake news or is that true? I didn't get a notification on my phone. I usually get a notification when people go live. Oh well. So there's a lot of church dropouts on Periscope. Well, that's cool. I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you're among friends and you're among people who understand what you've been through, I think. Well, Kita B, it was in Olympia where I ran into the Jezebel spirit. I'm not going to go into details. It was in a church in Olympia where I ran into the Jezebel spirit, and that was a church I had to get out of. I don't want to go any further than that, but that's not the one that kicked you out, though. That's not the one that kicked me out, but that is the one that had some crazy manipulation going on in that church. It was pretty wild. That was also where I learned about the office of the prophet. I sat under a guy who was a very gifted prophet, and he taught me how to get prophetic words for people during church services. We'd sit in the back, and God would just show us different things about people in the congregation, and they would give them prophetic words after church was out. Even though I've had some negative experiences in church buildings, I've had some really good ones too. Oh, James says it's a replay of Brendan. Okay, he's not live. I didn't think so because I didn't get a notification, so no worries. Oh, by the way, I should tell you this. Okay, we are confirmed to go to be on the Sid Roth show in Charlotte, North Carolina on March 15th. I'm just going to give everybody the notification right now. The last time we went on the Sid Roth show, which was 3 years ago, we had the biggest Holy Ghost party in the hotel lobby for 2 days. And people were getting prayer, and they were going through deliverance and emotional healing. And we sat around and prophesied over each other and ate food and had a great time. We are going to be there for a few extra days. We're going to be there a little bit early, and we're going to stay a few days later in Charlotte. Not tell everybody? I'm going to tell people. So you can, if you want to be at the taping of the show, the Sid Roth show, you need to get a hold of the people at Sid Roth and tell them, hey, I heard this crazy bald guy praying medic is going to be on your show, and I want to get a ticket to go to the taping. I believe the tickets are free. March 15th. And if you are going to be in town after the taping, you might be able to get together with us and hang out. If we can find a place big enough to hold everybody. All you people on Facebook, Lisa Perna is the one who is orchestrating the shenanigans.
Well, and let's say it won't be aired that day.
It's not going to, yeah, it'll be aired.
They tape it with the live audience.
May. Usually what they do is they tape the show and then they air the show a couple of months later. So we'll tape March 15th, and then it'll be aired probably in May. If you're in the area, Melinda Barkham is on here. Hey, Melinda, how you doing? So yeah, if you're in the area and you want to get together, we'll be there. And if we can find a place to hang out and have some fun, we'll hang out and have some fun. The lobby of the hotel does have a large sitting area with couches and stuff, and that's we just kind of commandeered it last time and took over, and we had a great time.
I don't know how much you want to announce that to,
It's out there.
But I mean,
yes, they usually do tape 3 sessions in a day. They usually tape on, is it Wednesday? Thursday? Yeah, they tape on Thursday. They'll have 3 guests. Sid will change his outfit for each guest, and they tape the shows, and yeah, they have a regular routine of doing that. Yeah, we'll do some kind of informal hangout at a restaurant or a hotel or something in the area. We'll just have to. It's going to be an issue of coordinating with people that want to be there. Holy Ghost Hotel, Charlotte, North Carolina. That is correct. The Holy Ghost Hotel is better than Heartbreak Hotel. And if you catch Denise early in the morning, she will sing Elvis's Heartbreak Hotel for you in key.
I'll sing Blue Christmas.
Blue Christmas? All right.
The one with the really low notes.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to get going. Denise and I have to get some stuff done tonight. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you for hanging out with us. This has been a lot of fun for me. I need to do more of these Facebook and Periscope broadcasts. I like it. It's a lot of fun. I should see if I can do a Morningstar. Yeah, I haven't been approached. When I wait for people to approach me, and if somebody approaches me from Morningstar, I'll pray about it. Go in there. All right, gonna get going. Love you all. Take care, and I will catch you, of course, on